Okay, welcome back to The Real Grow. This week we're talking about one of the, if not the most, known video game characters in the world today, I would say. Originating from Japan, I believe the games date back to like the 80s or maybe even
89, I think.
Is it that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, the titular character Mario, obviously, everybody's heard of Mario. I don't know if you haven't, then you pretty much been living under a rock or something. But the games, in my opinion, the games have like just been going strong for years and years and years, and pretty much one of the cornerstones of the Nintendo brand. Now there was a live action Mario movie that was released in the early 90s. I think it was 93. Yeah, well, we don't. Yeah, we
don't talk about that.
Yeah, but the reason I bring it up is because I just remember hearing that movie flopped so hard that Nintendo were like, no more movies ever again. Like they were just like, we're gonna protect this license. We're gonna make sure that this doesn't ever happen again, because I think that was like one of the biggest bombs of all time.
Was it like they dodged the bullet, bro, from the franchise happened to survive? Like.
Nah, they they came back from the dead.
Willing to make another movie, bro.
Yeah, man.
30 years for them to let Hollywood touch their franchise again.
They were traumatized, bro. They were dealing with something, yeah.
They were crying.
30 years of therapy, bro.
Yeah. So, flashback to today, 2023. We finally, after I think it's been, it's been over 20 years, or at least 20 years. We finally have another.
Yeah, 30.
30. Is it 30 years? Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. 93 came out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Sorry, it's exactly 30 years.
Yeah. So it's exactly 30 years. So I don't know. Is there a sign? Is there a reason they waited this long? But yeah.
Everyone connected to the last movie to die or
retire. I mean, they were waiting for all the kids or like the adults from that generation. Yeah, as you said, to die out.
Yeah. So also as well, this isn't a live. The 93 was a live action. This is animated.
This is anime, yeah. So they're taking exactly. So it's basically a new tactic. Yeah, this is it, man. So anyway, so now we have the animated Super Mario Brothers, first of its kind, and they've basically partnered with Illumination, who have worked on certain Minion movies, and other movies which majority are aimed at kids. I'd say most of them for kids, if not families. So I think it was like a perfect partnership, if I do say so myself, for them to kind of take the reins of actually producing a Super Mario movie. And watching the trailers and seeing the promo, I don't know if you guys really bothered to watch, because I know some of you prefer not to watch trailers, just see the film fresh with like brand new eyes. But I did choose to see the trailers, and I was really like pleasantly surprised, I'd say, by the effort they put into the marketing. Like, even they had one I'll get to the story in a second, but they had one commercial, I think it was during the Super Bowl, where they actually showed them as real plumbers, and they were like answering a call, and I just thought it was genius. Yeah. And they even had like a proper like plumbers website, so it just kind of showed me that they were all in. Like, they were like, this is gonna be a huge like tentpole, some blockbuster. We're gonna put everything into this, because the market, the effort they put into the market usually says that. So anyway, the story, I don't know if anybody wants to like go into the story, because it's a very simple story. Like, I mean, it doesn't take long to explain all it is.
Pretty much Mario's usual story, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the same. It's more like I felt almost like it was kind of similar to the story we got from the original movie. I feel like they were kind of referencing that film, the way Mario and Luigi, they start off being just your average ordinary plumbers, or humans, who are basically just sucked into this fantasy land, kind of like a Alice in Wonderland type of premise. And I mean, the whole kind of meat and bones of it is Mario has to save Luigi, his brother, from Bowser, who is his arch nemesis. He teams up with Peach and it's kind of a spoiler, but it's been out for a minute. He teams up with Donkey Kong as well, who again is one of his arch nemesis from the game, and they basically just go on like a journey, a venture to find his brother. So Anybody wanna like talk about the story? Like, is there anything that you kind of that you liked about the story, or did you feel like it was just an excuse to
So the
just
story was
show?
serviceable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was because there isn't much story. I'm not a huge Mario fan. I've not played many of the games. The main ones I've played are like Mario Kart stuff, so I've not played like the mainline game. But from what I understand, they got quite a lot of creative license. So I'm not sure how real the them being from America is. I don't know if they were actually plumbers, all of that. But yeah, I think the story they came up with was pretty good in terms of needing to get them to the Mushroom Kingdom and having them fight Bowser for. But the story isn't the main point of a movie like this. I think it's mainly the fan service. So I think people's opinions on this movie probably will correlate with how big a fan they are of the franchise and how much of the, fan service bits in the movie you recognize and love about it.
Because I think a lot of
That's
the
why
movie
you
is fan service.
disconnect between the critics and the audience at the moment. That's exactly why we've got that disconnect at the moment.
Yeah. Because a lot of the movie is fan service. There's just so much things in there which anyone who has played, even if you just play some of the mainstream games, you will notice certain sounds, certain catchphrases from characters, certain characters that pop up, just those little things like that, little Easter eggs just throughout the whole movie to constantly remind you that actually they are pulling things from the source material. So for someone who's played the game, like the movie, the story aside, it's just fun to watch and you get a constant feeling of nostalgia from watching it throughout the whole film.
Yeah, exactly that. What I think it's like, basically a love letter to the game. That's why I've seen a lot of people kind of refer to it as, because Mario's never really been about the story anyway. I mean, it has always had a basic story. So as Lauren said, that it wasn't never the focus point of it, and as you guys said as well, it was all about the actual world, the characters, and just to have a blast, because I mean, it's mainly for kids and stuff as well, we always have to remember. So I think for what I want to do, I think it's done. Yeah, I mean, it was a blast. So yeah. Anyone else want to chime in?
One of the things that stuck out to me is that, well, obviously it's 2023 now. Peach was not the damsel in distress of the film.
Oh yeah.
So that was one of the first things that came to mind when I was watching it, and it didn't take me out of the movie, but it almost made, obviously, the scene where you've got Peach and she's giving Mario the kind of training montage. Can you do this for me to take you with you? It almost made me just think. The first thing I thought to myself was, man, like, why do we even need Mario here? And she's badass. Like,
you know what, Ruben?
Like, why do we need you? Like,
you know what, Ruben? Yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of people are gonna kind of jump to that argument of, oh, it's another like strong female, leads. It's like that seems to be all the range these days with all these movies. But I that actually did cross my mind at first, but then I realized, hold on, like they didn't reinvent the character. Like we've got Super Smash Brothers where she's a fighter, she can hold her own. She's actually a good, decent character in that game. We've got we've got Mario Kart, where again, like most of the time she's wearing her Mario Kart attire, and like she's a good character to pick as well.
My only thing to that is that those, well, as far as I know, those aren't mainstream like games in terms of the little story that is there. Mario's always been a repetitive story as far as I know from the main games. Peach gets kidnapped, Mario has to go save her ass, bruv. That's basically been like repetitive all the games. So it didn't trouble me that they did change the character a bit. It's just that it did make me think like, but I feel she's very badass, bro. Like,
I feel like,
remember in this movie she didn't need Mario. Mario wasn't there to help Peach. Mario was there to find his brother. Peach was on her way to get Donkey Kong.
But this is the thing. They threw Mario in there, and this isn't an issue for me in the film, but you don't get usually in these kind of films they try to make like Mario, for example, the main character, you try to make something really significant about him, as if to say he is the only one who could conquer the big evil. He is there for a specific reason. Without him, things would fall to shit. I didn't get that sense from his character in the film. It more or less just struck me as it could have been almost anyone who was fortunate enough to meet Peach to go through the film and save the day. I know it's a fan service film as well, but I just mean I would have liked if they maybe put something in there to make Mario seem a bit more integral and needed to the story. Like, he is the main guy. He's the only one who can do this. there's something very
So
special
you want
about
a
it.
generic story?
Why not?
Um,
Why not? Like,
because I think it's actually a bit refreshing that we don't get a chosen one story.
Yeah, that's
It
true.
could have been
Yeah.
anyone. It just happened to be he fell into that pipe, and he happened to be, and he did it. So I don't mind the fact that he wasn't special, because I think that's partly the point, is that he's a
everyman.
normal guy he's just a normal plumber, and that even he can save the day if
I
given
suppose.
the right
I guess-
motivations and the right circumstances.
I guess
And
with,
with the story, it's probably not- and in the way the stage told the story, it made sense that Peach knew what she was doing because she'd lived there her whole life,
Yeah.
and he'd been there for 5 minutes. He would have been a Gary Stu if he got there and was able to use the mushroom straight away and balance he should. I mean, it should have taken him ages.
Yeah.
So I mean, so from the context of the movie and how they wrote it, I think they did a good job of not going pandering, not going back to the whole damsel in distress, he just saved the princess, that basic story, but also not going too far the other way and making her like superhuman. Because at the end of the day, Mario's still the one that did save the day. So it was. In the end, I think they kept that they reached quite a good balance in not going too old school and having a damsel in distress, and also not like inflating the female lead to pander to feminists or anything. So I think they done a good job overall.
It wasn't. It definitely wasn't cringe in that sense of what you said about inflating the female, but it wasn't like cringe about it. But yeah, I still kind of just got the sense of, why did he need to be here, bro? But that's just me. That's just me, bro.
The thing is,
got some props as well. Luigi actually, done something as well. So I don't know if he's gonna get shot.
Think of it this way: in this movie,
he didn't do nothing.
Luigi was the damsel in distress in this movie.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. I can't remember. I think some of the games might have been about him having to save Luigi as well. But again, like there were some throwbacks to not specifically exactly in the game, but like it kind of gave me that Luigi's Haunted Mansion kind of vibe with how Luigi ended up.
Though.
that's a reference.
It gave me like a kind of throwback to that, which I thought was pretty cool as well. So more.
I wish they explored more of that. Like I would have loved more scenes in the Haunted Mansion a bit, but I guess that should be its own kind of spin-off movie, maybe. Or
maybe part 2.
Sorry? They're really good, man. They're really, really good. Surprisingly.
Yeah.
I always think spin-off games don't get as good, but it would have been. Maybe one day they'll make a film about it, but it was cool making him.
Enough material, but I'm glad they finally. It's nice to see a movie that's 90 minutes.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Like,
exactly how long it should be.
And in 90 minutes, they've done everything they needed to do.
I just want to like piggyback off what Lawrence was saying earlier about like how they, he likes that. Well, I like as well that they didn't make Mario a Gary Stu, because I feel like in the games he's always been like an underdog. Like he's always been like he's not a powerful character. Like he relies on power ups to actually get shit done, and the game puts you at a disadvantage most of the time because you don't really. Like Jamie, you can't really just kind of speed run through the game without actually failing over and over again to kind of learn what not to do. But I feel like
one thing about Mario games is he is one of the very few characters where one hit will kill you.
Exactly. So they wanted to show that Mario's an ordinary guy, and he's definitely not the strongest or the smartest. Like, and I feel like if they didn't show Peach as like, again, as I said before, a fighter, a racer, pretty much like she can hold her own, I feel like that would be a disservice to her as a character, because she's not just that two-dimensional character of damsel in distress as in the game. So there's so many Mario games.
He's involved all the times.
There's so many Mario games that Mario Tennis, like Mario Party, all of these Mario, like I like that they took an aspect of like everybody's personality or every character's personality, to just kind of make them, give them more depth, if you will. So I kind of like how they handled it, really.
Yeah, I liked Peach in this because I'm not gonna lie, I picked Peach in Mario Party. She got the best dice.
there you go.
Speaking about, there was something that was quite controversial, like when the trailers first came out, and it was Chris Pratt. It was a lot of people had very large reservations about Chris Pratt's obviously voice for Mario. And to be honest with you, I actually think they made the right decision. I thought his voice was appropriate for the story that they told. I think if they had gone with Mario's, the game voice throughout the entire movie, that would have probably done my head in. I'm glad that they just included it in like certain mannerisms and certain bits here and there, so again, callbacks to the sounds that he makes. But I'm glad he didn't actually talk like that throughout the movie. That would have been, it would have been silly, I thought. So I actually think that Chris Pratt did a good job of that Brooklyn Italian accent. I think it was appropriate for the story that they told and for the character that they portrayed.
And I think that he's a really good voice actor, so he really banged out all the emotions that he needed, all the, when you have to really accentuate your voice and stuff. Not a lot of people can do that, so I'm glad he could. True. And he could actually do the accent if you wanted to, because you saw in the commercial, he was actually not bad.
Just piggybacking off of that, I actually think it was good that his accent was actually different from the rest of his family as well, because I think it did help kind of paint him as the black sheep of the family, which is what I think they were going for. It kind of made him seem a bit more stood aside and outcasted from the family. The fact that he didn't have the same accent as everyone else. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I like the fact that they were quite self-aware of the controversy at the beginning of the film. I think they made like a joke about it, didn't they, or something? Yeah. There was the advert where they were using the accent. Exactly. So I like they were self-aware about it, and because they done that at the beginning of the movie, throughout the rest of the film, it's like you don't have to think about it anymore. It's like we've already addressed this already. Like get with the rest of the film. So that was pretty good that they did that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, I think Chris Pratt was really good. It doesn't, because I feel like, as you were saying, Laura, if they went with the original Mario voice, which actually one of the Easter eggs was they did use I'm pretty sure I heard the original Mario voice actor.
Yeah, they did, I think.
Yeah, he's in it.
For a clip.
He does do it, yeah.
They used him for the old Mario cameo with the old uniform in the...
Oh, is it? Okay. I definitely need to watch it again to pick up more Easter eggs. But yeah, I feel like Chris Pratt's voice is very kind of... It's very easy on the ear, like, do you know what I mean? Like, he's a really good voice actor. He has a lot of range, and it's not distracting. Like, after a while, you just want to kind of get into the story, and it's good to kind of have, an actor who can really give that emotion more so than anything else. But I feel like he was completely upstaged by Jack Black. Like, Jack Black just killed it, man.
The main star of the movie.
Man, that song, God.
It's a good song. It's a good song.
It's a very good song. It's a very and the thing is, like, obviously we've never seen this side of Bowser, but I can totally see him being like this, if that makes sense. Like, just like Phantom of the Opera.
I think it was a good portrayal. I think it was a good portrayal of Bowser in terms of what they did there. And Ruben, I know we were talking earlier about certain actors, like, they just play themselves and it can be immersion breaking. I think because this was an animated film, they got away with not having that, because when he was doing the song, obviously I was just getting Tenacious D vibes. Like, he just that's just pure Jack Black, but because you could see Bowser, and he actually changed up his words a bit, it wasn't as immersion breaking as it would have been if Jack Black was just
like a live action something. Yeah, exactly.
So it was live action. So I think they benefited from the fact that this is animated as well, because you don't see Jack Black there, even though you can clearly.
At the same time, though, he brought Bowser's character to life in a way that I don't think anyone else could have done. Like, you know what I mean? Exactly. So they definitely made the right choice going with him. Man, it was hilarious. I love like the bit when he was like one of his chiefs was like, come jam with me, bro. And he starts playing is it the Haunted Mansion? No, the Bowser's Mansion theme. I was like, these guys are going in hard, bro.
Yeah, man.
Oh shit.
Yeah, no, I feel as though the Easter eggs and the fan service were just like, as you were saying earlier, Ruben, like, it's just like rapid fire. Do you know what I mean? It says like every 2 minutes there's a reference, and I feel like even though the story is very basic and bland, if you stop to think about it, it's just hitting you like with so much dopamine from the I get where that's from, I get where this is from, so you don't really think about it. So it kind of does it does a good job, is what I'd say, but I think it kind of limits itself in terms of the fan base. Like, so only core fans of Mario will really appreciate this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think. Go ahead, though.
No, I was gonna say, because if you actually read some of the critics' review, a lot of them, what they're saying is actually correct, but it's just because they're not fans of Mario, that is why their rating is lower, because it's essentially just a very weak story wrapped around loads of fan service. And actually what the audience, the target audience wanted, I think the target was always love a great story, but they were there for the fan service. They were there to be reminded of their childhood, of the adults who remember Mario, and even the kids that play Mario now. And the story it's one of those times where it's the same with like Sonic the Hedgehog, that movie as well. People weren't there for the story, they were there for the Easter eggs and the fan service. And that is why that's why you always get a big divide, because obviously from a critical lens, as a movie, if you're not a fan of Mario, there's nothing else here for you. There's literally, it's just, cute, like, it's just cute animations doing stuff with a very basic story. But if you're a fan of the Mario and you recognize all of it, then that takes a whole new meaning, and it will transform what your review is. The beauty is the eye of the beholder sort of thing definitely applies it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people shouldn't pay attention too much to critics and stuff, because I think the way critics should work, what they don't at the moment, is that the person who was the actual target audience or close to it should be the person who should critique the film, rather. Unless it's like a really serious film and stuff, like where everyone's fair game and stuff, but there's certain ones that only certain people should critique in a fair way, not like in a way where it's like, blinded, like you said before.
Yeah, I feel like actually going off what you're saying, Subi, I feel like obviously not everybody can like everything. So at the end of the day, they're not like doing a review for fun. Like, it's actually their job, so they have to critique it, because it's just a big movie and it's kind of like they have to jump on that wave. But I feel like they should have a little bit of like compromise and think, how would I feel if I was a fan of this, and kind of try to step into the shoes of a fan and give it a bit of leeway, because it knows what it's doing. It's not like it's incompetent in its execution. Like they deliberately wanted to give a simple story, but like kind of lean on the fan service, and that's pretty much what it's there to do.
And we know how damaging it can be when a movie tries to be over ambitious and just try to make stuff up without pulling from the source material. Like look at all the Resident Evils, bro. Do you know what I mean? So exactly. I think that is something that critics should appreciate, that actually this movie has tried to stay true to the source material and not go outside of it, really. So if they did, we'd end up with what, the 1993 version again, bro.
Exactly. Nintendo kind of breathed their necks on this one, because like Shigeru Miyamoto is actually one of the producers, wasn't he? And like Koji Kondo was like a soundtrack advisor and stuff. So thankfully there are people sticking them on the right path.
They were like, we're not having 1993 can't happen again. They were like, we're pulling the plug.
She's delete on the master file, bro.
This is it, man. Nintendo probably had like snipers on Illumination's like production team. It's like, if one wrong move and this guy's out, man, get the next guy, because they wanted to make sure this was like on point, like perfect. So
one person I did want to shout out was Keegan-Michael Key, because I didn't realize how good a voice actor is, because if I didn't give him credits, I had no idea.
He was Toad.
Key. I was like,
I knew he was voicing, but when I heard the voice, I had to stop and think, like, this doesn't sound like him, bro. So he really put it on. He did a great job.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Exactly. I don't even know how he did that to his voice. Like, I don't know, because it was so good. It sounds like they digitally did that. Because I was like, it was a completely different person. So like, played to him. I was like, I think his Toad voice was brilliant.
Yeah.
And obviously, it made Toad. I thought they did a good job with him. I was not as impressed with Seth Rogen, to be honest. But I thought that was probably the weakest part to be honest. I thought Anya Taylor-Joy done great as Peach. John Des Luigi, I was fine with as well. Yeah, Seth Rogen, I think, was the guy that I think was the way. He wasn't bad.
He didn't breathe life into the character.
Yeah, every time he laughed, you kind of went out of it a bit. Every time that distinct laugh came on.
Yeah, I kind of can accept that. Seth Rogen would be a Donkey Kong because the mannerisms.
I think it's good for it. Yeah. Just the laugh was a bit weird for me. That's not like something you can control, so fair enough.
My only kind of criticism is that I feel like they cast this movie more for the names than. I mean, they were all really talented, but they didn't really think about Toad would. I feel like a child voice actor would kind of suit Toad more than like he did it. I'm not saying Michael Keegan Key didn't do a good job, but I felt like a child voice actor would have been more appropriate for Toad. But yeah, that's just me.
I think they just would have given the character a different flavour altogether. I don't think it would have necessarily been a bad thing. But I just think it would have just given the character a different flavour. Maybe some of the lines would have had to be changed because they couldn't be delivered the same way as from a child actor. But yeah, I thought he done fine.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
And what's his name? Sorry, Harry Payton, the guy from Walking Dead, bruv. The Penguin King. I don't know if you guys watch Walking Dead, but he basically played the king.
Wait, who's he in the Walking Dead again?
He plays the king. I can't remember his real name now.
The Lion King, like the lion guy with the dreads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He puts on that voice for most of his character in Walking Dead.
Oh, fair enough.
And it's basically he played the king, so he was playing the Penguin King in this, and using the
I
same
mean,
voice.
He does have that kind of like mighty like voice, isn't it? That kind of.
Yeah. I think the fact it was coming from a little penguin just made it funny to see as well. So.
It's a good thing. You know what? I want to give props to the animation in this movie as well, because I was just like speechless with how good, how spectacular everything was. Like in the back of my mind, I was thinking like, Pixar better watch out, because Illumination are coming for you, man. As a next.
Illumination normally do a good job on their animation.
Yeah, because everything just looks like really colorful, like really bright, and they actually look like actual models. There were actual scenes where I felt like it was stop motion, because it looked like it was actually a real, like, tangible item, or like the characters were believable. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but yeah, I don't know what kind of program they're using for like their animation, but it just gives a lot like really realistic like daytime lighting, outdoor lighting.
Yeah.
It's all like shadows.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
But yes, the animation was fantastic. And I do want to shout out my favorite part, and this because obviously it's one of my favorite games, the Mario Kart section, bro.
Yeah, and like the way the camera's moving, it's like weaving in and out of the cars. Oh my days, like I was just like, this is too sick. The rewatchability.
Shall be happy in tears.
Yeah.
That would be a cool way to introduce the blue shell as well. Very creative way to do it.
Oh yeah, that's
and
true.
when I saw it come down in the truck, I thought, is that all they're gonna do? And then when it came to it, I was like,
I'm pretty sure they used the Rainbow Road shortcut as well. That same corner where you jump off the road. I was like, that's pretty. It's a pretty good shot that they actually done it the same shortcut jump off the road. That was pretty cool, man. So yeah, hats off to them for doing that.
Probably made you want to like jump, get your Switch out and like play some Mario Kart.
I don't know if anyone noticed, they actually did use the ghost from when you fall off the track as well.
Oh, is it? Oh, what?
Yeah.
The fishing.
I didn't know that. No.
Yeah, when they caught all the like Donkey Kong and the Donkey Kong's father, they used the ghost to bring them to Bowser's castle.
Oh, that's what they were using. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what the scariest thing about this movie was?
That fling.
No, Bullet Bill, bro. Bullet Bill, like when he was like chasing Mario, I was like, God damn, like if you like when it's actually in like a story or a movie, like it's actually like really intimidating, like something that huge coming towards you. Anyway, yeah, man. I enjoyed this movie a lot, man. I thought it was really fun. And,
Same.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of? I don't know if you've talked already, but the soundtrack to it, because yeah, what do you think of the soundtrack? Because like I thought it was did a really good job, like making it kind of orchestral, but also sticking it to the of the action.
Yeah, it wasn't noticeable throughout the whole thing, but there were definitely, for me anyway, there were definitely some bits where you could just hear they were bringing it. But basically, they built the soundtrack from the original games, and you can hear that they just built around it. And every now and then, they would throw in like a key riff or a key couple notes to remind you, oh, this is, I can hear it now. This is from so and so. So that was pretty fantastic as well.
I feel like the soundtrack would have been good, because again, there is a lot of like creativity that goes into it, but the film kind of relies, and I don't know if there's like a thing with Illumination, but it relies too much on these like 80s ballads, these rock and roll.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, it just kind of feels out of place.
It just felt very out of place for me personally.
Yeah. So I don't know why they decided, like why they made those decisions, but I don't think they were quite. They were the right choices to go with in terms of like soundtracks, but in terms of like where they took music from the game and they like remixed it or like just made it more relevant, I did enjoy that. I did like those pieces of music.
What did you think of the end credit scene? That'll be the last one, not the semi one.
End credit scene.
What was the last one?
Yeah.
I don't think I can remember. What did I say?
The one where Bowser was in the
No, there's one after that.
one.
Oh, was there another
What
one?
happened in that one? Can't remember now.
They tease Yoshi.
Oh yeah. Oh, the egg. Yeah.
Because that's one thing I was thinking about the whole movie is like, because obviously you see a couple dinosaurs in it. It's like, where's Yoshi?
Yeah.
That looks like they're saving it for the next movie.
Maybe a standalone or maybe for a sequel.
Yeah.
They're definitely gonna do, because they got Wario and Waluigi to introduce at some point.
There's a whole world
They got a lot of material.
They've got a lot of characters put in as well.
One thing I thought was really cool about
$500 million. So this is always gonna crack $1 billion, no problem. So they're definitely gonna make more of these.
I like that when for one, I like the fact Donkey Kong was in it anyway, but when they were traveling from New York to Peach's land, I like the fact that it did make it seem like they were traveling through space, because it really does just open it up to, they can do whatever they want in a sequel. They can basically make deals with Nintendo and go to any other world they want to. And I like the fact that Peach said she didn't know where she came from as well. She's no idea about her past.
Peach specifically said there are different universe worlds out there.
Yeah, and she doesn't know which one she came from. So they can build upon her story and do something. They can touch on that in later films, which I thought was pretty cool, and I'd be interested to see.
I mean, they essentially opened up to all Nintendo games, to be fair.
Yeah.
So
I want Smash to come at some point, bro. We need Smash.
That's too many
I think it's
characters.
gonna happen eventually.
It better happen, bro.
Yeah, maybe it could be like if they make other franchises like Metroid, F-Zero, such and such. They could
if they're smart, the model they'll do is the sequel will be again Mario, but they'll introduce a couple characters as teasers to then lead you into the wider universe. Because that's what most of these movies run out. It's all franchise.
Yeah, exactly. They could make a lot of money, man. Honestly.
But if they do, I don't think. So I've been kind of looking into this kind of stuff. So for instance, like Zelda and Metroid, I don't think Illumination should be handling those. I think it should be different. Like for instance, Zelda, I think a lot of people have been saying DreamWorks because of How to Train Your Dragon and stuff. That could work. And like for Metroid, they're gonna need someone like to delve even more. Like that's dark territory, man. You can't have Illumination doing Metroid.
Yeah,
So if they do it well, they can really make this a special franchise of films.
Yeah, that's a good point.
What was the name? Lumily, is it? That the blue star flame thingy, which was that was good. For real, bro.
It's like see who said this was a kids film? Like when I was like, what is this doing here? It's like a nihilistic existential crisis driven.
It's when it's like, yeah, man, there's no escape, bruv, and there's no release from death. So I was like,
Yeah, no,
And the
I
creepy
appreciate
child
that.
voice made it, like little voice, child's kind of voice it had, just made it even more creepy, dude. Like,
Yeah,
The sweet release of death. And I was like, oh.
oh
That's
my
so
lord.
good. Yeah, no, I actually forgot about
Too
that.
funny,
That
too
was, that was a really good touch.
Yeah, apparently the
Um,
director's daughter was the voice of Luke.
Oh, is it?
Oh,
yeah.
okay. That's I love it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Hectic.
just getting a bit to read. Things were-
It was like I'm not gonna give you any context, but read these lines, bro.
And a cheerful voice as well.
A cheerful
Yeah.
voice. You are happy.
I really
Oh,
want to see.
man.
I really want to see
Yeah.
what. Not that like, you know, I felt the script was bad or anything, but I really want to see what like Phil Lords and what are they called again?
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Christopher. Yeah, Phil Lord and Christopher something.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Yeah. They
What-
would be
how
yeah,
they would- they
the
would-
Lego movie guys basically, and yeah, that'd be amazing.
They would.
That would have been definitely yeah. It's good.
Because when it comes to like you know, making an animated movie which is very faithful to the source material, they probably knock it out of the park every time.
Absolutely, yeah. They put a lot of real proper heart into the story as well.
Sure, and
They know how
research.
important it can be and stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah. Maybe one day, hopefully.
we'll see.
Once this becomes a proper franchise, we'll have some
Yeah.
really good creatives on each. Like Zelda, Metroid and stuff. So I'm looking forward to it. Let's let this hit 1 billion and see what the future holds.
Yeah, man, I might see it again. You know, just like give it some more. Just give it some more
Yeah,
hype
support
in
it.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, it's definitely rewatchable. That's the thing. It's definitely
Yeah,
something
exactly.
you can watch
it's like junk food.
Mm.
again.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Yeah, I mean, is there anything else anyone else wanted to add, or should we go to final thoughts?
Final thoughts.
Yeah, I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover.
Yeah, because I knew it was going to be a short review. Like, I mean, it's not really that complex. Cool. So
Yeah.
I think I'll go first. So yeah, I mean, you know, coming into this movie, I think the first, and I didn't really kind of go into this, but the first 10 minutes, I thought it was kind of slow and boring. I know obviously they had to like do like a plausible setup. They couldn't just dive straight into the Mushroom Kingdom. We need like people that aren't associated with Mario need some sort of context to kind of understand what's happening and why this human character is amongst these you know, weird creatures, these monsters. But yeah, I feel like even though the story is very simple and, you know, very kind of like basic, it is supplemented by a lot of like passion and heart from the creators of this film, who you can tell like they love Mario. You know, the voice actors, the animators, the writers. So I feel like everybody really you know, did a great job in making this movie. My criticisms and the flaws I noticed weren't really substantial enough for me to, you know, to really bring the movie down. Because again, it was just the first 10 minutes where I thought could have been a lot better in terms of like, you know, getting that kind of, I don't know, that interest in the movie. Because again, I was just kind of like zoning out in the first 10 minutes. But yeah, I mean, the movie looks amazing. As I said before, like, I mean, you know, compared to what Pixar is bringing out now, this movie looks leaps and bounds, like just more colorful. I feel like they're really innovating in terms of like how good their movies look. Yeah, so yeah, other than that, you know, the soundtrack, the music was good when it wasn't like using 80s kind of rock and roll, like those kind of cliche you know, soundtracks that they put in like a lot of movies, like but yeah, I mean, this movie, as you said, Law, has tons of rewatchability, and it kind of just, yeah, it kind of makes you feel like a kid again. Remembers you know, playing, you kind of take yourself back to when you were playing these levels, and you know, these like the references like the blue shell. It is a bit excessive, which is again, you know, they're using as a crutch to kind of make this movie more interesting. But yeah, I feel like it, you know, it does do more right than it does wrong. So anyway, yeah, getting to my score, I'd say I'd give it probably like a 7 out of 10. I'd say. I think that's a fair score for what it is. Again, it's not bending over backwards and doing leap to like give you you know, the best film of the year, but still an enjoyable experience. So
I'll go next because you lot seem to think I came to bring the score down or whatever. Yeah, I went in this thinking it was gonna be a fun movie to watch, and I was right. It was great memories. Watching it just made me think of all the different Mario games I played in the past. Obviously, not the first Mario game, because I was very, very little, but some of the earlier ones, I think it was Mario Land or something like that. Mario Kart, it was all fun. Seeing Donkey Kong throw the barrels, it was brought me back to N64 days. Overall, like everyone said, the story wasn't great, but we didn't really go there to see the story. We knew it was going to be something just to get you from point A to point B. But I enjoyed all the little touches, all the throwbacks to the games. Overall, I think it was done well. Pete, you said it was a bit of a crutch. I don't think it was a crutch. They played to their strength. They knew people coming to see the characters that they loved in the games, so they played to their strength. They showed us what we wanted to see. Characters really live on the big screen, doing what we know them to do: have fun and attack each other. So for my score, I'm gonna give it a 10. It was well prepared. It was presented, and it just showed us what we wanted to see.
Cool. I'll go next quickly. It won't take too long. Would be mimicking what both of you said already. I think the things that really stood out to me, the visuals, the colors, and also just how they developed each of the characters. I know we were saying that there isn't much story there overall, but I actually think that the fact that they developed the characters so much with the kind of just the little bits they've done about the characters' backgrounds, how they wove that together, I thought that definitely sets it up more story-based sequels, just simply built around the characters more so than the typical Mario world that we were talking about earlier. So I thought that was pretty well done. I really enjoyed, all the power-ups that were used, all the throwbacks, like the flower showing the Princess Peach getting flame powers from the flower, and Mario with the raccoon costume. All that stuff was just really amazingly done, and just brings you back to when you used to have to obviously get those power-ups on the stage, the ones that you really liked and favoritized. All that stuff was fantastic. I had a complete blast watching it. But yeah, that's it really. I think my score is probably more or less a 7 out of 10, and I think that's literally just because all of the fan service alone for me, and all the visuals and the music pushes up to 7. To get it over that 7 barrier, I guess, just a bit more depth in story would be good to just bring it back up there. But for what they wanted it to be, it was fantastic. And I definitely feel like when it comes to making video game adaptations now, they're really starting to be a bit more careful, get their act together and think, if we're going to do something, we need to start doing it properly now. We can't be taking shots and taking notice. So yeah, cool.
Before that person goes, just question: has anyone seen that cat costume before? Because it threw me.
I think that's from Mario.
I feel like I have seen it.
Isn't that from Mario World 3?
So.
I'm sure it's like.
Mario. Yeah, Super Mario 3D.
Yeah.
Super Mario 3D World. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I said the one on Wii U, right?
Yeah.
Or Wii.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was I
Wii
remember.
U.
But yeah, I can quickly go next. So as everyone said, we got exactly what we expected really from this film. They played to their strengths. The worlds, the animation was beautiful, as Illumination always tends to do. And as you said, video games, movies are getting better, especially when they're animated, because I feel like the people who work on live action and stuff, I don't know, they don't seem to be as I don't know, I guess fans or just have that creative mind for what video games are supposed to be. But obviously people who actually work in the animation industry and create animation films, they're more of that mindset, because that's the reason they're going to 3D, making 3D and stuff, because they learned from games and these movies that they love. So that's why it's really good to have 3D companies working on actual video games movies, because they just, it's, as I said before, it's like a love letter. They always have all these awesome Easter eggs. They always show the love just flowing out of the cinema screen, because you can tell they had a lot of fun making the film, and the passion and stuff, and even the voice actor as well. Jack Black in particular, because I know he's a huge fan of games, and especially Super Mario. In the interviews and stuff, he's literally wearing a Bowser suit and stuff. You can see how much he loves these games and stuff. So I love it when you could really feel the love coming out of the screen. I just love the whole vibe of it. So that really, put a smile on my face. Yeah, the story could have been better. I agree with that. But yeah, as we said, Mario games aren't all about the story as well. Would have helped, but it's, as it stands, I think the main point is that how you felt during watching that movie, and all of us did have a blast. So for me, I think I'll join you guys right up there with a 7 out of 10. So as you said, story would have bumped up a bit more, but I guess it's a tricky one where you can't really do too much, and you don't want to risk like annoying fans with making too many changes and stuff. So I guess I can understand why they didn't want to do too much with it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the future of this. Hopefully there is a good future for this franchise. So 7 out of 10.
Okay.
It's not gonna be the awkward one, bro.
Christ, I thought I was gonna have I thought you lot were gonna score it higher. I thought I was gonna be the bad guy again. Because when I came out of the cinema, I didn't have the feeling that I thought I would have about this movie. Like the fan service was great and everything, but I just realized I'm not a fan of Mario. I just realized there's only my games that I play, like Mario Kart. That's it. I think I played one mainline Mario game with Mario Sunshine. I can't even remember if I completed it.
Did you not used to play? Did you not play Mario like on SNES, like on Super Nintendo and stuff?
No. I didn't have a SNES. I didn't have a Nintendo.
I never had a SNES either.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah. So, because obviously I can compare it to the only other major video game movie that's come out recently, which is Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And I think the key differences between the two is that I'm just a much bigger fan of Sonic, and that's why I just rated it a higher score. In terms of the fan service and everything, I think they've done a great job of it. It just didn't appeal to my feelings because I didn't care that much. The main part just about was the Mario Kart stuff because I played Mario Kart. If they put some Switch stuff in there, I would have gone crazy as well. But apart from that, all the other stuff, I was like, I know about it, but I don't have an affinity for it. I don't think the movie done anything horribly wrong in that respect. I think it's just I think your score is going to reflect on how much of a Mario fan you are, really. The story, as you lot mentioned, isn't groundbreaking. It's pretty basic. But again, I don't think that was the point. It's more on the fan service. And the more of a fan you are of the Mario franchise, I reckon the higher your score is going to be and how much you're going to like it. I think they've done a good job of executing everything they needed to. I just don't think I was as much of the target audience as I thought I was. So I'm right there with all of you guys. I think it was good, but I can't give it higher than that because it just didn't appeal. The thing that they were going for me was obviously feelings, and I just didn't feel like it deserved more than that because I'm just not as massive a Mario fan as I thought I was. So I'll go with a 7 as well. But I thought it was good, and I do look forward to other ones where they can start appealing to other things. So they've got loads of franchises. Things they can delve into, Smash Brothers, Mario Tennis, Mario Golf, Mario Party. They got so many things they can play around with. But I do wonder where they actually go from here, because obviously repeating like some of the like Mario Kart stuff again, I'm not sure.
Yeah, they won't be able to get away with just using nostalgia and just all the game source content to make a sequel. They're gonna be forced to try and be a bit more creative with some originality. But luckily they've got the most important thing, the base of the characters to build upon. So if they do that properly, they should be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm glad that this film did well because, like, opposite to you, Law, I'm actually I'm not the biggest fan, but I actually have grown up on Mario, so I do have like a vested interest in this franchise, and I'd rather see them do a good job than a bad job, if that makes sense. Yeah. One thing I wanted to ask you guys is, like, do you think it's weird seeing Mario as like a character in a movie? Because the way his design, he's like meant to be. I don't know if he's meant to be a midget, but he looks like he's got the body of a child, but the face of a man.
Yeah.
And it's just really weird to see it. It's a bit weird to kind of see it.
It is weird, especially when he's next to Peach, who has
normal proportions. Yeah.
Even after he takes the mushroom and you see him get bigger, you can see that like he gets bigger. He becomes a gigantic version of himself, but not necessarily more.
And he's still the same height as man.
Yeah, he just gets right. Yeah. I will big head.
Mario? Yeah, it would be a lot weird if we weren't used to Mario, but because we're used to him looking like that and
Yeah.
his proportions being a bit weird, thankfully we can just look past it and it doesn't really bother us that much.
It's not gonna give us nightmares.
Anyone who has banged the games out is used to seeing Mario constantly reducing in size when you get hit over and over and over again. So something we are used to from the games. A lot of pain, bro, and suffering. Yeah.
Also, you kind of remind me of that scene. I mean, actually, it was really nice when they showed the flashback scenes and you saw baby Mario and baby Luigi. That was
Oh
really
yeah,
nice.
that was cool. Yeah.
That was a fun little scene.
You know what? I actually, it just dawned on me. The reason why I kind of felt, thought it was kind of weird to see him like in the movies, because in the games, you don't really think about it because of his voice. But I feel like because they gave him the voice of a man and the body of a baby, that's I don't know. There's a disconnect like between like why is this child man baby talking like this? I don't know. But it is what it is. So that, like, it's not a big deal.